about my city, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes. And back then we only gave what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads. And out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Live Oak.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geekies. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. It's the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings, Wildcats, Blazers, Titletown license winners, pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty, you hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, when we ride this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Moonshine and whiskey.
Some folks really don't understand how important it is and never forget where you came from. You know, when I say Lowndes County, man, I mean Lowndes County.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, when we ride this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I am your host, Larry Godwin. You can call me LG. What you know about that 229? Well, you know what? Come Saturday night, the Carrollton High Trojans are going to find out a lot about the 229. And the Westlake Lions will as well, courtesy of our friends across town, the Valdosta Wildcats. So, hey, listen, we got a lot to talk about tonight. But first things first, I want to make sure I take the time and hold on one second. Well, shoot. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I should have already had this pulled up. My apologies. Last minute Showtime prep. So I wanted to make sure that that we recognize some ladies that had a fantastic year this year. And that's the Lowndes girls softball team. Specifically, I want to make sure that you're aware of tomorrow. Tomorrow at the LHS Cafe, the Lowndes Vikettes' very own Madison Van Allen is going to have her signing day with the Central Florida Patriots. So congratulations to Madison. Looking forward to another fantastic Lowndes student athlete excelling at the next level. Hey, we also want to give our, I guess, thanks and sign of appreciation to a couple of team managers for the Lowndes Fast Pitch Softball team. That's Olivia and Kaylin on National Team Managers Day, which was earlier this week, I believe. So thank you so much, young ladies, for all the things that you ladies do for the softball team, National Team Managers Day. So Let's talk about a little bit of football, if you will. Oh, before we get into the serious football talk, let me go ahead and bring in our super fan, Chase Garnto. Chase, you're making me dizzy with that camera. How are
Sorry
you?
about that, LG. What's up, everybody? How are y'all?
Doing pretty good, man. We're doing pretty good. Missed you on the show last week, the regular season finale, but thankful that you're joining us this week. So hopefully, hey, listen, I know your life is busy nowadays, and you know your career is advancing. So congratulations about that. But let's talk a little bit about Lowndes football. Okay, now here's a little bit of lightheartedness. I wanted to go ahead and bring up this photo right here. Chase, do you know what this is?
Hold on. His name is hold on. Yeah, that's our new multi-use facility.
Multi-use facility, multi-purpose facility, the new ROTC building, the indoor practice facility. You know, many people have many different names for it, but I thought I would have a little bit of light-natured fun with this photo tonight. And here's what I'm talking about. Do you know how that we have a habit? I guess it's I don't know who started. Maybe it was Wes James that started the nicknaming. Do you remember the Mayflower Moving Company?
Yes.
And that was a nickname for what?
The offensive line.
The offensive line in our glory days, right? Then then the Concrete Palace. Wes reportedly is the one that came up with the nickname for that for Martin Stadium, Concrete Palace. We have the Concrete Crazies, the Concrete Coliseum, which is what we call the basketball gymnasium. I'm not sure about other nicknames. Do we have other nicknames around the Lowndes campus and Lowndes athletics?
I mean,
I can't remember. But anyway, my point is, I think
we just affectionately call it the place where Wildcat dreams go to die. But you know,
maybe we call it the Wildcat Graveyard. I don't know.
You know,
but anyway, my point is about every major facility on that campus has every major building has a nickname, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we should be proactive and come up with a nickname for this new multi-purpose building.
The Mayflower Storage Facility.
So let me throw this out there to the audience. Look, guys, let's have a little bit of fun tonight, because if we talk about what happened with Camden last week, everybody's going to get kind of upset and emotional, and I don't want to do that tonight. We're going to talk about be patient. We're going to get to the game, but we're going to have a little bit of fun as well. So you never know. The nickname that you throw out there might stick. So throughout tonight's show, what do you guys have? What's your put on your creative thinking caps? What would you like to nickname the new multi-purpose building on the Lowndes campus? You know, I've got a couple of suggestions that I'm going to save a little bit later. I want to see what other people come up with. Right. So anyway, hey, listen, Georgia coach trainer, he has come loaded for bear. He says, I'll probably ruffle some feathers tonight. Don't do it yet. Come on. Be nice. Don't do it yet.
Calm down.
You know, we're beyond the 24 hours. Everybody should be calm by now, right? We're focused on the task at hand, which is to take down the Carrollton Trojans come Saturday night at 6:30. Hey, before we get into all that, I want to make sure I thank our sponsors for the show. Our title sponsor, let me go ahead and put this up here. The title sponsor for our show is Pepsi Bottling Company. So we thank the folks at Pepsi Bottling. Doyer Deloach runs a great facility out there. You guys know these folks by now. They are the makers of Pepsi, or the distributors of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, Mountain Dew Spark. Thank you to Pepsi Bottling Company for sticking with us all year long. And here we are, first round of the playoffs. Thank you, Doyer and Pepsi Bottling. We also thank Tim Neesmith, Shade of Perfection. If you guys are in need for custom shades and blinds, give our buddy Stickman Tim Neesmith a shout at 229-251-3479. Or you can check him out on his website, ashadeofperfection.com. Guys, Tim, if you're watching tonight, give us a heads up, man. What do you think? What should be the deadline to go ahead and reserve their spot to make sure their custom shades and blinds get done before the holidays get here? So you can order them anytime. But a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about you go ahead and get these orders in if you expect it done by the holidays. So we thank A Shade of Perfection and Tim Neesmith. We thank these guys. I affectionately call them my knuckleheads. These are Josh Batson and Justin Haskin. I'm just kidding. They're not knuckleheads. But you know what? They are fantastic at treating migraine and pain of the back pain variety. These guys at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, they are your certified headache medicine specialists. So if you have the need for that service, contact Josh or Justin and get your appointment set. We thank Kyle Conger, White Oak Investment. You know, a few months ago, it says, Larry, don't sell. Stay the course, man. Larry, don't sell. Even though I'd called him and give him a hard time, Chase, it's like, man, what am I doing? What are we doing? He's like, be patient. Be patient. It's going down. Yeah, the market's going down, but now's an opportunity that you got and all that stuff. So he walked me through it, Chase. He calmed me down, talked me off the ledge, and I'm glad he did because the market seems to be making a rebound. But you never know with the market.
Like this.
Yeah, you never know how the market's going to end up and down, up and down. That's why you need a guy like Kyle, a steady hand at the wheel in a time of uncertainty. White Oak Investment, Kyle Conger. He's my guy. He can be yours as well. 229-850-8848. Thank you so much, Kyle Conger. He also sponsors our White Oak Investment comment line as well. We thank Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road, specifically Matthew Godwin. And guys, if it's the holiday season, it's the Christmas shopping season. Let's be honest. It's the Christmas shopping season. So if you have a need for an iPhone 14, Androids, accessories, small business accounts, give my buddy Matthew Godwin a call at 229-244-5855 and ask for Matthew Godwin by name. We thank Freedom with Steve Nichols. He's got a special show that he's doing tomorrow in honor of Veterans Day. You know, he's sponsoring a float, the Veterans Day parade that will be taking place tomorrow in Hayhira. I think that parade starts at 10 a.m. I believe that's right. So guys, tomorrow is a day we set aside as a nation to honor our veterans of all military branches. Thank you so much for all that you have done in serving our country. So Steve is going to help honor those fine folks, our veterans, tomorrow morning on his show, Freedom with Steve Nichols. You can catch him on Facebook or on our website, freedomnetworks.com. We thank Commercial Banking Company. Guys, if you want to have a friendly hometown banker, these are your folks. 229-242-7600. If you have the need for checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs, IRAs, auto loans, mortgage loans, even business loans, give the folks at Commercial Banking Company a shout. They are the friendly neighborhood bankers. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors. Let's go ahead and get into this football talk, Chase, because we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. And guys, if you want to have a little bit of fun with us tonight, I want to go ahead and invite you to either call in, make a comment on the White Oak Investment comment line. You can call in at 229-469-1205. And one of the questions that we are asking tonight is, this is a picture of our almost finished. It looks like it's going to be done by the springtime. But this is our new multi-purpose indoor practice ROTC building. I don't know what they're going to call it. But speaking of naming it, we have this, I guess, informal rule at Lounge where we have to give a nickname to things like the Concrete Crazies or the Concrete Palace, the Mayflower Moving Company, the Concrete Coliseum. What kind of nickname should we give our new indoor practice? I'm not gonna call it multi-purpose. It's an indoor football facility. Our indoor practice facility. Y'all can call it whatever you want. Be politically correct and call it whatever you want. It's our football indoor practice facility. What kind of nickname should we give it? So anyway, there are some creative names. All right. The Jody Hewitt says the Viking Fortress. Okay, it's got a ring to it. Kenneth Hurst says the 12th Man Building. Okay. Now I'm not sure if I like that one, Kenneth, because that kind of implies it's a band building, right?
Yeah,
because at Lowndes
we've
we've labeled our Georgia Bridgman the 12th man, right? So I'm not sure about that one. Not sure. Georgia coach trainer says name it after Greg Reed. I like that idea. So anyway, the Thunder from Down Under. Okay. Wilbur Pelfrey, he's got an interesting one. Valhalla Dome. That doesn't roll off the tongue, Wilbur. I mean, that's a good try. I like your creativity. Joe Mamone listening from New Jersey tonight. He's with Prep Gridiron Logistics. He says the Vikings Indoor Center, or the Vic for short. Okay, I see where you're going there, Joe. I see. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. Some pretty creative names tonight. Now, I'm actually going to write mine down so I don't forget. So, Chase, I don't know if you've come up with one.
Look on your messages.
What's that now?
I said, look on your messages.
Okay. Let me take a look here. Okay. I can see that. I think we can be a little bit more creative. A little bit more creative.
For sure. But I can't really be nice about it.
It's going to be a heck of a building once it's done. It's going to be a great looking building.
Wildcat skinning training facility.
Let's get into the football talk tonight. Last Friday we traveled over to Kingsland. I couldn't be there. I mean, it was crazy because our Viking Nation film, video, and audio crew could not be. It was the first time that out of the three of us, none of us could be there for various reasons. Bubba had an engagement to go to, looking after his mom. You had a prior engagement that you had to go to. I had to go to senior night up in Berrien County because my nephew's in the band up there. Listen, you only get one senior night, right? So we had to go and support some Devon. So I was glad to go up there. But anyway, it was the first time I think ever that none of us was at the game representing our video and photography crew. But our Vikings went over there and took it on the chin. I think the final score was 48-21. To me, it surprised me. I expected us to win, but even if we lost, I didn't see that kind of margin coming. What's your initial thoughts on the outcome of that game?
It was shocking. Considering we played really good against Valdosta's rushing attack.
Yeah.
I really didn't see us performing that poorly against the wing tee, especially considering that was our bread and butter for like 12 years.
Right.
And it was the little bit I did listen to, it was almost like just missed assignments, just maybe some youth played into it.
Yeah.
It could be a dozen different things. It was big plays that we couldn't avoid. It wasn't the typical wing tee style, that where you just 5 and 7 and 10 yards, you're just chunking away and chipping away at a defense. It was, run this play and then boom, they're 80 yards to the house.
Yeah, it was unusual. I expected them to have some success running there because Jeff Herron has had a lot of success this year against region teams. I mean, they're a second seed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did not expect them to be so explosive. I expected 3 to 4 yards at a time and grind it out like a traditional wing tee, but that's not what they did. Well, they did do that some, but they scored a lot of points on explosive plays like 70 yards, 80 yards, 65 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
That's the part that kind of shocked me because I thought our defense was good. The defense had been getting better and better and better as the year progressed. And over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it started with the Colquitt game, gave up a bunch of points there, and then it carried over. We adjusted with Richmond Hill, and then it just seemed like the bottom fell out. against Camden. So I'm hoping that it was just the anomaly of playing against the wing T, because we don't see that anymore at all. And maybe
No,
our
you really
kids just weren't prepared for it. And I hope it's not a trend going into the playoffs.
I don't think it's a trend. I think that's just one of the things, like you said, you don't see it enough. You very rarely see it anymore, especially at this level. And hats off to Jeff Herron for continuing to run it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is one of those offenses, and I think he's tweaked it a little bit. I haven't actually gotten to see it, in person. I saw clips of it, and to me, it doesn't. It's a wing tee, but it mimics a little bit of, almost like a double tight set instead of a wing tee. But
it's a very traditional wing tee, because when we talk about wing tee, Robbie Pruitt, longtime head coach at Coffee County, was a wing tee guy, and his version was different than the Jeff Herron version. So Robbie Pruitt ran basically two backs behind the quarterback, and Jeff Herron's got the traditional two wing backs with a fullback behind the quarterback.
Yeah.
However you like to run it, whatever formations, it works when you get it rolling. And Camden got it rolling. Jerry Safford brings this to our attention, said we gave up 5 running touchdowns over 40 yards.
Mm-hmm.
40 yards in 5 running touchdowns. Here's what I'm talking about. When let me just get into some of these stats. So typically when we think about wing tee, one of the things that kind of made us nervous on last week's show was giving Camden, if you don't stop them, because they basically have mastered getting 3-4 yards at a time and playing keep away from you. But that really wasn't the case. If you take a look at the time of possession, it was pretty even. About 23 minutes for Lowndes, about 24 minutes for Camden, but it was the explosive big play that Camden brought that night that really made the time of possession, threw that statistic out the window. Camden had 422 yards of rushing. That part does not surprise me, because that's what a typical wing tee, because they had very, very little passing yard, about 78 yards passing, right? But the explosive nature, all in total, 500 yards of offense, and giving up 5 long touchdown runs to really any running team. That's what really, really surprised me. And I hope that's not our identity going into the playoffs.
Well, I mean, you can look at that one of two ways. Either we figured out how to stop the passing game and just forgot about stopping the run game, or used it as a preparation game for Carrollton. I don't know. I mean, because Carrollton throws the ball a lot. They tend to have a tendency, and their quarterback's really good. We've got to get pressure on him early.
Right.
But I don't know. It's one of those things that I kind of earlier this week decided that, it's one of those things where it's in the past. It's a game we can do nothing about at this point. So might as well put it behind us and move on to Carrollton.
Yeah. Before we move on to Carrollton, in our discussion, there were some positives that I took away from that game. Just coming through y'all know, but I'm going to scour. I'm really going to, looking at some of the text messages I'm getting now. Some of the text messages I'm getting are kind of funny. But I really like to go through the stats and see if I can pick out some positives, pick out some trends, that kind of stuff. One of the things that I really picked out on last week's show, Chase, I named a couple of things. If we could get 150 yards of rushing and marry that to 150 yards of passing, I think we are trending in the right directions, especially heading into the playoffs. And offensively, that's exactly what we do. Now, we didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities that we had on offense. But Chase, I'm going to give you one guess how many passing yards we had against Camden County. Camden's got a pretty good defense.
85.
241. We completed 11 out of 20. That's still below a 50% completion ratio, right?
Yeah.
But we had some bigger plays. So 241 passing yards. To me, that's encouraging. If we can carry that same kind of offensive explosion into the playoffs, I like it. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I like it. What concerns me is how many of those 241 yards was to Kivas Thomas,
Yeah.
because
Well,
I know that's our big play threat, but at this point, so does everybody else.
yeah. Would it surprise you
And you
that
got to figure out.
Kivas would it surprise you that Kivas was not our number one receiver? It
Was
would
it
surprise
14?
me.
Was it 14?
Yeah, it was actually number 7 and 14. They both had 3 receptions each, and they both had surprisingly very similar numbers. Keelan had 71 yards in receptions with for 3. Well, let me back up. He had 3 catches for 71 yards, and Kivas Thomas had 3 catches for 70 yards. Smoke had 2 catches for 39 yards. Trey Thomas had a catch for 35 yards. So Marvis was distributing the ball
Now, see,
all over the field.
Now, see that I like that I can get behind. I just don't want us to get too focused on throwing to one person.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, man.
I,
I'm right
that, I
there with you.
mean, I mean, yeah. If I'm a quarterback and I'm dropping back and I get in trouble, do I look for my number one guy? Yes, absolutely. But you know, you got to go through your progressions at this level. You got to go through your progressions. You got to go through your reads, and that's what I like. That's one of the things I like to see quarterbacks develop, is how
Yeah.
well they can go from first read to second read to third read, and even if you don't have time to maybe get but 1 and 2, and then you got to get out of the pocket and go.
Right. So Randy Steedley, he's not a Lowndes fan, but it brings up a really good point. He's talking specifically about Camden. He says that you got to get up on Camden early so they can't control the clock. He's a master at keeping the score close and winning in the fourth quarter. That's true. Now, even though we're talking about Camden, I think this comment, Chase, also applies going into the playoffs, because, throughout the region play, and for the most part in the regular season or the non-region schedule as well, we haven't really jumped out to a fast start on offense and really controlled the game from the outset. For hardly any game that I can think of maybe 1 or 2 games, but for the most part, we've been a second half team. And going into the playoffs, Chase, to be honest with you, I don't think we can sit back and be a second half team against a team like Carrollton.
No, you can't. You cannot. I mean, you've got to stay step for step with Carrollton. You cannot sit back and let me give it to you like this. We have got to come out against Carrollton the same way we came out against Grayson.
Right.
Got to.
Yeah, I agree. We keep bringing up Grayson, whether it's me, you, other Viking fans, because it was a good game to point to for Lowndes that basically played a complete game just from the very opening whistle, right?
Yep.
We jumped all over the Grayson Rams, and we have failed to do that in any other game that I can think of this year, where we just came out on fire, play with our hairs on fire, us against the world, and just jumped on the other team.
Well, I think I hate to be this guy, but I think that's because nobody really gave him a chance to win, including me.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew what Grayson was bringing. I mean, I've seen the highlights, I've seen the game clips, and but I think everybody wrote it off as Grayson was just going to come in here and steamroll us. And I think Grayson thought that same thing. And I think when the old adage goes, everybody's got a game plan until somebody punches them in the mouth.
Yep.
Lowndes come out and they swung a haymaker and it worked. I mean, they were reeling the whole game. And that's what we're going to have to do against Carrollton.
I think what you're describing is something that I brought up Tuesday night on the pregame blitz. Lowndes has got to play this game with a chip on their shoulders, because I think that's
Yes.
exactly what they did in that Grayson game, because Grayson came to our place, ranked number 2 in the state. And we heard all week long from honestly, not just from Lowndes fans, but from everybody, that we couldn't beat Grayson. We were going to get steamrolled. And I'm hearing the same things about Carrollton. We can't beat Carrollton. We're going to get steamrolled. We got to go on the road. Lowndes doesn't play well on the road. We don't travel well. It's going to be a short postseason. I heard all these things this week, and I'm sure our players and coaches have too. And I hope this team, whether it's the coaching staff or the players or everybody involved, I hope they get so pissed off and play with a chip on their shoulders and do it for 4 straight quarters.
You know, I agree. And we're Lowndes High School. We should play with a chip on our shoulder every week.
Absolutely.
You know, since, I don't know, probably 2010, everybody said that Lowndes was a great regular season team.
Yeah.
We just couldn't get past the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. Then we made a state title appearance and we lost. But at the same time, everybody was going, well, that's it. That was their last shot. That was, you know, this, that, and the third. You know, everybody's talking about how, and I've heard it too, everybody's talking about how Lowndes is going downhill now, and it's apparent that I've heard the talent pools run dry. I've heard various different things, and I'm like, look.
And all that's nonsense.
It's nonsense. And I'll tell you why it's nonsense, Larry. It's because when you go to these big camps around the country and you listen to what these coaches are saying, the one thing that they say is if D1 coaches really wanted to look at where D1 talent was bred, they'd look in South Georgia, because it's a talent factory. It's an athlete factory. And Lowndes is part of that athlete factory. So it's not that the talent is dried up. It's not that we don't have the athletes. It's just we're at a weird place. Yeah, grades come in late. His coaching staff come in late. It's all kind of been like a snowball effect. And I think that this just may be one of those years that we just have to chalk up to a learning year. I mean, if we make it, we make a deep playoff run, that'd be great. But if not, I mean, look, guys, we made the playoffs with a first-year head coach. They come in late. It could have gone way worse. It could have gone way worse. So I don't know. It's just, like I keep telling everybody, it's just Lowndes is in just a weird place, man.
We are. These are just the growing pains that we're going through. We kind of warned our. No, I shouldn't use the word warn. That's always a bad connotation. We kind of tried to set the expectations early on in the summer, and I tried to tell people, like, we're going to take it on the chin this year. We're going to see ups and downs. Now, I thought we would be playing a lot better this late in the season, but the fact is we're not, for one reason or another. And if you say I'm criticizing the team, then say whatever you want to say. I'm just going to tell you what's on my mind. That's why you come to the show. That's why you watch the Viking Nation. You follow our program, is because we're always going to be as objective as we can, but be tactful about it. So I'm not calling anybody out, but we just haven't played to the level of the expectation levels that we usually have for a Lowndes football program year after year. Now, I'm not going to go this far. Now, Georgia coach trainer says this, and I'm going to vehemently disagree. He says, in my opinion, losing 5 games at Lowndes should get you fired. There's no excuse as a coach for having a season this bad with 180 players. Listen,
I didn't know we had 180 players.
Oh, I don't think we have 180 players from 10th to 12th. We might have it from 9th to 12th if he's including all 9th graders.
Maybe.
But I don't think we've ever fired a head coach after his first year, regardless of what his schedule, what his record was. Listen, Rick Tomlin was here for 3 years, and we saw how bad that era was, right? Bringing. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask all of you guys a question. Okay, Georgia coach trainer just brought this question to mind. When is the last time Lowndes had a losing season? And it is a real possibility. We're currently 5-5 going into playoffs. Obviously, if we win, great. If we lose, then we're sitting at 5-6 with a losing season, or at least a losing record, right? When is the last time that's actually happened to a Lowndes team to finish the season with a below 500 record? I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. Hold on a second.
It had to be late 90s.
Okay.
Late 90s.
It was 1994. I think someone put that on. Wilbur Pelfrey got it exactly right. 1994. We were 4-6. 4-6. Didn't make the playoffs that year. No. So that's going way, way back. Now, this is if Zach Grage finishes the season at 5-6, is he going to be the first Lowndes coach to have a losing first season? That's interesting. That's an interesting question there. And the answer is no. He's not.
No, because I think.
Would you believe that Milt Miller had a losing first season in 1992? He was 3-7. Rick Tomlin had a losing first season. He was 2-8. So it has happened before. Now you got two. Now that's an interesting representation there. You got Rick Tomlin that had a losing first season, and he left the program after year 3. You had Milt Miller, who had a losing first season, and Milt went on to have a very successful career as a Lowndes head coach.
Absolutely,
right?
love
winning a state championship. So it's going to be interesting to see which direction the Zach Grage program takes. I'm leaning towards the Milt Miller days versus the Rick Tomlin days, right? So Rufus says Miller had 3 in a row. Could be. I'm not exactly sure. Well,
I don't know. See.
Yeah, Rufus brought up a really good point. Milt Miller started his career at Lowndes with 3 back-to-back losing seasons: 3-7, 2-8, 4-6. Now, if you're Georgia coach trainer, if you fire Milt Miller after his first season, after his second season, after his third season, you never would have won that state championship in 1999.
Okay, here's
or reached the
here's what I will
semifinals in
say.
1996.
Hold on. Here's what I will say to rebuttal that. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, that Lowndes program back then was not held to the same expectations as this Lowndes program is.
You got a good point, because we're coming off of the Rick Tomlin years, right? The expectation was probably pretty deflated when Milt Miller stepped on campus. I don't know. That was before my time, so I don't know what kind of talent that that Milt Miller inherited from Tomlin. So those are all variables that we just can't answer, right? But still, just looking at historical data, Milt Miller had 3 straight losing seasons before he turned that program around and had a very, very good championship winning program. Now, Georgia coach trainer says, it sounds like your expectation. This is what he is saying. Sounds like my expectations should turn to me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. Come on, man. Don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is looking at historical data, it's not a precedent to have a first-year head coach allowance to get off to a slow start. That's all I'm saying. Now, I will concede that it's been a long time, all the way back to 1994, since Lowndes had a losing season. So I hope it doesn't happen this year. It could very well. We're just being honest about it. That's the reality that we face. Right. So, but I will say that a couple of weeks ago, we faced another reality where it was a must win against Richmond Hill for us to clinch a playoff spot. Today, Saturday night, it is a must win against Carrollton to ensure that we don't have a losing season. Chase, I'm not sure what happened there. You back with me?
I'm not either. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there either.
So anyway, that's it's interesting. It's interesting to compare between all the head coaches. Yeah.
Yes. And here's my thing. I'm also one of those type of people. I agree with you, Larry. You got to give a new head coach 3 years. But at the same time, within those 3 years, I want to see some progress.
Right.
Show me something. Show me anything. Show me something. And as long as we're heading in the right direction and these kids are getting coached up better and these kids are getting better every game and we can see that's
right.
I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, it's as much about these kids getting to play on Saturdays as it is about winning football games.
That's right.
They're student athletes. They're not athletic students.
That's right. So one of the comments Elaine Day has, she got an interesting tidbit. I'm anxious kind of anxious to see who it was. Not anxious, but I would like to know who it is. Elaine Day says, one of Valdosta's past coaches is a coach at Carrollton. He's excited to be playing against Lowndes. Elaine, who is that? That kind of tidbit escaped me, so I'm not sure who you're referring to. I mean, I would love to know. Randy Steedley, he's a Cat fan. If you're still watching, maybe you know who that may be. So I'm not sure. Now, I think Travis Hart really hits the nail on the head, and I think, Chase, this is what you've been trying to say, and that is Travis Hart says, next year will show what kind of coach Coach Grage is with a full off season. And I think that is key. He's going to have a full off season with Lowndes, which he did not have this year.
But I tell you what I want to see. I tell you what I really want to see. And I hope I see it happen.
Tell me what you want to see, what you really want to see.
I want to see some real competition between these players that are coming up and the players that are there. I want to see some of these young guys push these older guys.
That's right.
To step their game up, to elevate themselves, and to really cement themselves as, hey, I'm the best player at this position. I should be on the field on Friday night. That's right. What I want to see.
Yep.
I want to see some good old-fashioned, as the old adage goes, pressure either bust pipe or make a diamond.
Absolutely, man. Hey, we got the answer. Man, that's collective thinking right here. Look, Randy Steedley says Justin Montgomery. And someone else says, Ty Snellgrove says he's a defensive guy. So Justin Montgomery is the former Valdosta assistant that is on the Carrollton staff, apparently. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So he knows a little something about Lowndes. He knows the tradition that Lowndes is bringing up there. I'm sure that I can't remember the head coach's name up there at Carrollton.
I have no idea.
You know who used to be the Carrollton head coach a couple of years ago? Sean Calhoun, the now head coach at the Colquitt County Packers. He went over. He left Carrollton, I believe that was his team, right? Rufus. Rufus is a Colquitt guy. I think Sean Calhoun left Carrollton a couple of years ago, I think, and went over to Vestavia Hills. Is that right, Rufus? And then is now the head coach at the Colquitt County Packers. So, that's right, Wilbur Pelford. Joey King, I think, is the head coach now with the Carrollton Trojans. So anyway, man, you guys I'm really impressed, Chase, with their knowledge. This audience that we have is a very knowledgeable group.
We do. We have a great audience.
And we've got some new names that I don't see. We do have some regular viewers, and guys, don't be fooled by when you see there's 30 live viewers or 50 live viewers, because we do recognize that after we go off the air, there's a lot of people that watch the on-demand replay. Okay, so typically by this time next week, we could probably have around 600 to 700 viewers that watch this. Sometimes that gets up to 1,000 to 1,500. So anyway, we have a lot of new names that I don't recognize. Dietrich Cummings, Randy Steele is starting to become a regular viewer, you know. So anyway, it's kind of interesting to see some of these names popped up. So Dietrich must be a North Georgia fan. He's coming up with some good stuff. Trevor Lawrence, old coach at Cartersville. So Joey, yeah, they're talking about Joey King. Wilbur Pelfrey says Joey King is the former coach at Cartersville. So I guess he was the head coach at Cartersville when Trevor Lawrence was there, right?
Hey, Larry, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. There's a comment. There's a comment up by Wesley McDade.
Okay.
You want to throw that up there? Because I can't believe he actually said that.
This one?
That one.
What I didn't notice it. What does he say? He says, replace the Richmond Hill with Tift. Does Lounge come on, Wesley? If you're referring to the preseason scrimmage, come on, dude. I know you, Wesley. Listen, I love you, brother, because you're a Lounge fans, and I love all Lounge fans. But you listen, everybody knows what your opinion is by now, brother. I'm serious, and I welcome your views. I do. I'm never going to censor anybody unless people start using profanity. That's the only no that I have. But and I welcome your view, and some of your views are justified. But come on, dude, to ask a question like that, come on. That's all I can say.
I mean, look, everybody needs to understand. Everybody keeps wanting to throw that preseason scrimmage to Tift up. Look, the game plan going into that preseason scrimmage was every player on that roster that was currently there got a snap on the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, take it for what it is. I mean, it's just it's a glorified practice.
Right.
I mean, it's not like Gage is going to walk out there and just throw his whole playbook on the ground and go, "Here you go." No coach in their right mind is going to do that in a preseason scrimmage. I'm sorry,
exactly
they're just
right.
not.
So Wesley, yeah, I do value you because you are Lounge fans, and your opinion is welcome. But I got to push back pretty hard on that comment, dude. I think that was uncalled for. But anyway, but it's a free, and we do recognize the value of the First Amendment here.
Absolutely.
Rufus, I don't know what you're referring to when you say Juju. I have no idea. Are you talking to someone else that's on the thread tonight? But anyway,
I have no idea what he's talking about either.
But yeah, let's talk about Carrollton. Carrollton is 10-0. Let me say that again. Carrollton is 10-0.
And you touched on it. You touched on it Tuesday night. That's not a weak region. So don't think they're 10-0 because they're in a weak region, because they're not.
One of the common opponents that we had was East Coweta.
Yes.
So we lost to East Coweta. I can't remember the score. What did we lose to East Coweta by?
No, I don't know. It was 38 to something, I thought, or something ungodly like that. Maybe 48-30 something, 48-34 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that up right now. So we lost to them. Here it is, 49-34.
I wasn't bad.
That's a big score. So we lost to so that's a common opponent. I bring that up only because it was a common opponent that we had with Carrollton. Carrollton beat East Coweta 38-28. So their defense does give up some points. Now, they also have a propensity to be a good defense, but when they play some quality teams, they do give up some points. Like let's see, they really, I'm looking at their schedule, Chase. Their non-region wasn't really that strong. They played Rome. Rome was a pretty strong team. They beat them 23-6. South Paulding is an okay team. They beat them 28-21. Hillgrove is a decent team. They beat them 56-28. East Coweta, like we said, they beat them 38-28. Pebblebrook is a quality team as well. They beat them 42-12. And they beat Westlake, which is another good team. They beat them 28-19. So their offense, even against some quality teams like East Coweta and Westlake and even Pebblebrook, they can score some points. They can score. Yeah. So we need our defense to play really, really well that night.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have to. You're going to have to play well against the pass. You're going to have to play well against the pass. You're going to have to keep safeties. You're going to have to keep everything in front of them. Yep. And we've got to get past. We've got to get a pass rush with the front 4 to 5 guys.
Gotcha.
Especially,
gotcha.
Help me out, Larry. Number 9. Is that Mekhi Crawford?
Mekhi is, I think, number 8, isn't he?
Number 8, number 9. So, anyway, our linebacker that likes to blitz, he gonna have to bring. He gonna have to bring the hammer Saturday.
From the outside, yeah.
He needs to come right down and throw it at him, get him off his spot, because I think this quarterback at Carrollton is like either a freshman or a sophomore.
Yeah, that Juju that Rufus was referring to is their quarterback, Julian Lewis. So they call him Juju for short.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
listen, we need all these defensive guys to have a banner night. You know, whether it's Mekhi Crawford, Coleman Lewis, Austin Williford, we need our entire secondary needs to have a great night. Not just a good night. I think they need to have a great night.
I think I think a lot of those keys are going to rely on those guys up front. Jaden Battle, Amarion Whitlock, those guys like that are going to have to bring extreme pressure. Now, hopefully playing against this North Georgia team, maybe their tackles won't hold our defensive ends. I mean, but our defensive ends are going to have to get pressure. Our guys are going to, our middle guys are going to have to collapse the pocket. They're going to have to get pressure in his face, and they're going to have to get him off his spot. Right. Especially with young quarterbacks. Young quarterbacks rely on, can I get into my drop? Can I get to my spot? Can I get the ball out? So knock him off his rhythm. Make him think, make him move, make him do the things that most quarterbacks are not comfortable doing, especially at this level. So let's see what this kid can really do. Get pressure on him, force those receivers to actually run their routes, knock them off their timing routes on the outside, do different things, change up coverages, make it hard for the quarterback to read, show zone, switch to man, show man, switch to zone. It's Ashley Andrews' defense has looked all world at times. Yep. So, I mean, it's just one of the things where, we're just going to have to play, like you said, we're going to have a banner night. I mean, our defense is going to play lights out. So,
in 6 simple words, Travis Hart hits the nail on the head. We need that Grayson game defense.
Yes.
That's what we need, right?
Yes.
Wilbur states the obvious. If we don't get pressure on the quarterback, it's going to be a long night. Now, I think the rain is going to clear out by the time the game starts. So it shouldn't be a wet ball situation or anything like that.
See, man, I tell you, I realize he's a Lounge fan, but his comments don't make no sense.
Who's that?
Wesley. You're killing me. You're killing me, Wesley.
All right, let's just move. Let's move beyond that because we only have a few minutes left.
He's making my head hurt, Larry.
Listen, I would love nothing more than Lowndes, Zach Grage, our defense to go up to Carrollton, knock off the Trojans, and prove Wesley wrong. That's really, I don't want to pick on Wes. I don't want to appear like I'm picking on Wesley because, like I said, he's a Lowndes fan. I value his fan, but there is a mindset out there that is similar to Wesley's, and they're starting to gain. They're starting to be emboldened by and it's quite frankly, it's very easy to be in their shoes because we're 5-5, Haven't had a losing season since 1994. We're on the cusp of having a losing season. So it's very easy. And there's a lot of ammunition that Wesley can point to, right? So the only way that to make all that noise go away is what? Is win.
Winning, like you said it Tuesday night, winning takes care of everything.
Winning takes care of everything. You want the critics to go away, or at least get them to get back on the bandwagon? Win. That is to me, is a great life lesson for any student athlete at any level. If you want to stop the criticism, win. That's it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyway, and what is that when you start to break all that down to its smaller pieces? Because we recognize that football is a team sport, but football is made up of 11 individuals doing individual jobs and doing them well. Right.
Yes.
So if you've got a coach that's on your butt about you're not doing this right, what's one way to get the coach to get off your back? Do your job well. Every single play. Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that drives coaches nuts is when you make a mistake, but you're not doing everything you can do. You know, I heard a coach say one time, if you make a mistake and you're going 120%, that's fine.
Yeah.
They'll live with that. But it's the not giving 120% and making a mistake that'll drive a coach nuts.
That's right. So, I just want to go on record to say that I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to our coaches because I think they're here for a reason. They wouldn't have been hired to represent and coach at Lowndes High School unless the senior leadership saw something in them that gave them their vote of confidence. And so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. I'm the complete opposite from what a lot of people are. A lot of people are distrustful of people until, they get to know you. But I'm the exact opposite. If I'm brand new to you, I'm just getting introduced to you, I'm going to love you until you make me hate you.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Zach Grage and all of our coaches until they prove me wrong. And so I don't think we've reached that point yet. So anyway.
I don't think we have either, Larry. And, as far as Carrollton goes, as far as on the offensive side of the ball, I really look for Lowndes to use Smoke a lot.
Yeah.
In this game. Smoke and Road Dog, those two are going to have banner nights as well.
Right.
That's just the facts. I mean, Carrollton is used to playing against a passing attack, so I don't know that I'd try to throw the ball just enough to keep them honest, but I'd ride Road Dog and Smoke on this one, honestly.
Yeah. So here's the very quickly in the last couple of minutes of the show, here's the bracket that we're starting out with on Saturday night. And I've got all the guys, I'm sorry, in the upper right, we've got our logo covering. Chase, we've got our logo covering the Valdosta game up there.
Oh, that's
that's Valdosta sitting there at 8-2 in the upper right quadrant. That's Westlake that they're playing Saturday night as well. They're 7-3. I think Valdosta does win that game. Westlake is a good game or a good team, but I don't think the Valdosta defense is probably going to be the toughest defense that Westlake faces all year, even in the playoffs. Right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Will Valdosta have enough offense to help out the defense? I think they're going to have just enough. And I think Valdosta takes that one. Okay.
Yep.
Now in the lower right-hand quadrant, you've got the number 2 seed Camden County taking on East Coweta. Camden is 7-3, East Coweta is 6-4. That game is going to be played in Kingsland, and Camden County and Jeff Heron is going to wear out East Coweta with this wing tee. I think they beat them 49-14. And that is terrible handwriting, so I'm going to erase that. And I'm just going to say
some of that doctor handwriting.
Exactly right. So I'm just going to say Camden. He's going to win that one. Now, upper left, you've got the number 1 seed in Colquitt County, perfect 10-0 regular season, hosting the Pebblebrook team at 4-6. Now, Pebblebrook is better than their record indicates. They played some good teams in region, and they're 4-6. So they're probably going to be one of the better 4 seeds across the state this year. I don't think that's going to make a difference. Colquitt County is going to drill Pebblebrook. And Colquitt's going to win that game. So now we come to the lower left quadrant. Lowndes traveling up to Carrollton. Lowndes is 5-5. Carrollton's 10-0. What say you, Chase?
I
listen.
honestly,
I'm gonna let you off the hook.
Lowndes wins it. No, I think
I'm gonna
honestly
let you off the hook and just say you're gonna predict Lowndes is gonna win. What do you think that margin is gonna be by? Did you mute your mic?
No, 3 points.
3 points.
I think yes. I honestly believe this is the game where Grage is going to pull the trigger on a 50-yard field goal by our freshman, and he's going to drill it right through the uprights.
I'm writing it right here. Chase says Lowndes by 3. LG says Lowndes by 10. That's LG's pick.
Okay. I like that.
So anyway, I think we are going to turn this thing around. You guys can accuse me of being a homer all you want. You can accuse me of having my crimson colored glasses on tonight. Whatever you accuse me of doing, I don't care. It's my show. I'm going to pick my team, and Lowndes wins by 10 in Carrollton, and we're going to have fun driving back Saturday night.
Oh, I like Sterling Hobbs's comment. This would be the time to do that if you were going to
use the tight end. Come on, coach.
Yes.
Use the tight end. Billy Pearson, if you're watching tonight, Billy couldn't be with us tonight because he is on his way back from the ATL. He's been wanting to see the tight end used all year long, and if he uses the tight, I think Billy is going to be a happy guy.
Oh, absolutely. Billy probably be jumping for joy just for that.
That's right. So Rufus puts them all together, and it says, LG is a homer with crimson colored glasses, and I wear them proudly. Absolutely. So
that we do.
Listen, I want to share one other thing before we get out of here tonight, guys. You know, we got this hurricane coming through, but I don't think that's going to be a factor coming into this thing. So here's the conditions. If you're going up to the game Saturday night, okay, you got a high of 59 degrees earlier that day. So here's the daytime. High of 59 earlier in the day with a low of 30 degrees. So around game time, you're going to have a high of 50. And, it gets dark earlier now. So as soon as that sun goes down, that temperature is going to plummet. And you're going to see by the end of the game, it could be in the low 40s. Okay, so bundle up. You see that it's also going to be windy, about 9 to 10 mile per hour, winds out of the northwest. So it's going to be chilly. That means that the punting game is going to be affected. The kicking game is going to be affected. Field position might be a thing Saturday night, right? So for our fans, make sure you bundle up. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you can get them on the GoFan app, right? So you can do that right on your phone. It's $8 if you do it on GoFan. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you guys was Carrollton is not in the Metro ATL. Okay, I want to make sure you guys realize that, right? So here's the Metro ATL right here, this area. Carrollton is way over here, close to the Alabama state line, right? So there's basically 2 ways to get there, and they're roughly the same distance, or same amount of time, I should say. If you go up 75 and then you get to Atlanta and you go west or southwest on 85, and then you got to go back up northwest to Carrollton, it's going to take you about 4 hours and 18 minutes. But remember, this is I-75. So right around this area, it's going to be congestion, right? That McDonough area, it's always congested. So I would add a little bit more time to your travel time if you go that route. And remember, the kickoff game or the kickoff is scheduled for 6:30. 6:30. I'm going to say that again. Kickoff is at 6:30. So if you leave here at 2:00, you might be a little bit late considering the traffic that you're probably going to run into just north or just south of Atlanta. Okay. The other route that you can take is going through Albany, this route over here, going through Albany and Columbus. I know that sounds weird, but you can go through Albany and Columbus up. I think that's a 185. I think that's right. Or I-85. No, that's 185, I believe. All the way up to Carrollton. And that route is going to take you about 4.5 hours. Will there be traffic that way? Probably not as much going through I-75, but it's a dozen of one, half a dozen of one. Well, you know the expression, right? So it's going to be about the same. I'm probably going to go up through the Columbus route, to be honest with you. But anyway, so keep that in mind. Going to be chilly. Let me stop sharing. So it's going to be chilly Saturday night. Bundle up. You can get your tickets on GoFan for $8, and it's going to take you about 4.5 hours, whether you go up 75 or go up through Columbus and take 185 up to Carrollton. Either way you go, it's going to take you about 4.5 hours. Just keep that in mind. Keep the traffic situation in mind. And the kickoff, once again, is at 6:30. So, guys, I hope you have a great night. We don't have a game tomorrow night, but I will see you up in Carrollton on Saturday night, to watch us celebrate at the end of the game a Lowndes win by 10 points. With that said, y'all have a great rest of the week. Hope to see you at the Veterans Day Parade tomorrow in Hayhira at 10 o'clock. Y'all have a great one. Go Vikings.